So as a yacht charter agent, I've seen my fair share of chartering mistakes. And so here I'm just going to go through and give you some ideas of the mistakes that I've seen so that you can avoid them. So one of the main mistakes that people can make when chartering is choosing the wrong destination. Now, all destinations out there are great, but we have to find a destination that's not only going to fit your skill level, but also the vibe you're looking for. If you're wanting to go to a remote destination, it is not good to go to the Amalfi Coast during July. That would be a wrong destination, and you're not going to have a good time because you're looking for a remote experience. So one thing to keep in mind is just to be realistic with your skills. The licensing and resume requirements need to match the destination, but you need to also have an idea of what type of vacation you're looking for. So going to the skill thing, another mistake we see is that people not really having the competence to charter in that particular destination, even if they satisfy the resume or licensing requirements. So just because you have a license to charter in the Med doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have the ability to med more next to a multi-million-dollar yacht in a tight marina. And so, that can really ruin your charter experience if you're nervous or you're yelling at your crew trying to get into a tight marina. So we want to make sure that not only is your license and resume adequate, but you actually are competent and confident about the skills required for that particular destination. Another mistake is just going for a particular boat because you have it in mind and you think it's great for you, but you don't take into account your crew or the other people on the boat with you. So you might be a great monohull sailor, but if you're going on a charter with young kids, a catamaran is much more suitable for something like a family trip. So, and you want everybody, the goal is for everybody to have a good time. So it's really important to choose the right boat for your crew. You don't want people sleeping in the forepeak, which we call the coffins. That's not appropriate. And it doesn't make for a fun experience, And so we want to look at things like wet heads or dry heads. If you're going with your wives or it's a girls' trip and everybody needs a little bit more bathroom space, then we want to find a boat that has dry heads versus wet heads so that people can have a good experience. We also want to consider the amenities of the boat. If you're going to the Caribbean in June, you need air conditioning, which means you need a generator on a boat. Now, if it's just two of you and you're looking for a small monohull, you're not going to find a generator on a small monohull. So we want to keep in mind the amenities, the season, and make sure that the boat choice is the appropriate one. Another thing that we see people make mistakes on is just overall budgeting. So yes, yacht chartering is renting a boat, but there are monetary factors to consider besides for the boat. You might find a less expensive boat in the BVI compared to the Spanish Virgin Islands, but if your airfare is going to cost double to get to that particular destination, then maybe that's not the right destination for your budget. So you have to consider things like airfare. How are you going to get from the airport to the particular base? Is it expensive food onshore? Are you looking to do onshore activities or tours? So you need to have an overall sense of budget. If you're stressed about money while you're on a charter, it doesn't make for an enjoyable experience for anyone. Another mistake we've seen people make is just in the planning, the logistics. So most of our charter destinations are outside of the US. And so you need to have a passport to go to these destinations. You have to be familiar with the visa requirements. We always recommend people arrive to their charter destination a day or two before to not only take care of jet lag, but also lost baggage. So we've been on charters before with friends who arrived the morning of and oops, their bags didn't come. So they're left with the charter either buying stuff along the way or wearing the clothes that they arrived in. So we just want to take in mind some logistics. Another mistake we see people make is overpacking and overprovisioning. So charters, they're boats, they're small, soft-sided luggage. You cannot bring multiple hard cases. This is not a time we recommend bringing, luxury hair dryers or straighteners and every bathroom product. So we want to pack less. Less is more. And then provisioning. Most of the destinations, absent a few, are going to have places along the way where you can re-provision and stock up on wine and food. So a mistake that we see people making is spending thousands and thousands of dollars on provisioning up front and then ending up eating out at restaurants every single night and the provisioning goes to waste. So those are things you want to think about. Another mistake we see people make is just general crew expectations. So it's important that you talk to your crew ahead of time about expectations. Some people may have in mind that the sailing vacation is going to be 8 hours of sailing a day, while other of your crewmates might think you were just going to sail for 1 or 2 hours. And so if you're kind of all over the place with that, the crew isn't going to have a great time. So it's really important to talk to your crew ahead of time about what type of vacation they're going to have. How are we going to divide the labor? Who's going to help with cooking? Who's going to help with skippering, if anything? And just kind of have a group meeting to set the tone. And then I guess the final mistake is just not being an effective leader. So you as a skipper are the leader of the boat, and that's more than just leading the boat and being a safe skipper. It's about making sure your entire crew has a fantastic time. And so that's a lot more interpersonal skills than just sailing skills. And so you want to make sure that you're able to handle not only the boat, but your crew and the planning and the logistics that goes around with chartering. So when you come to a charter agent, we'll make sure you don't make those mistakes.